Okay. So welcome everybody to our hands-on session number 7 for the Boston Marketer Group. We're continuing to work through our subscribers automation query build. I think this might be our last one. I think we might have everything figured out by the end of this session. We'll go into details about what we're going to go through in a second. Okay, let's talk about upcoming sessions. We've got some Agentforce, a lot of Agentforce coming up just because of this is Agentforce month. We have an in-person session this Wednesday in our Boston office. It's also a virtual. It is at 5:30, so definitely sign up for that if you're interested. We also have a repeat of that this Saturday. Working in concert with Yosina and the virtual bootcamp community. That's going to be 10 to noon this Saturday. And then we might do an additional workshop in person. We're sort of going to see how the first one goes, and we might schedule another one for the end of the month. And then our Marketing Cloud Mondays are going to be sort of transformed starting next week, where we're going to be doing it's focusing a little bit, pivoting and focusing on Agentforce as well. So those who can't make those in-person or the virtual sessions, we're going to be breaking those down into individual sessions, hour-long sessions to do things like, give everyone access to an org where they can do all the different building and exploring on their end. Building prompts, building agents, flows, all of that stuff to sort of corresponds with the Agentforce workshop. So definitely sign up for those sessions.
Tim, I have questions regarding the agent section.
Oh, sure.
So these sessions will be related to for the marketers or like for the agent, for the service or sales.
We're going to try to lean them toward a marketing and fold in Marketing Cloud in our use cases.
Yeah.
But like the first couple of sessions are going to be more just introductory, just getting familiar with, building prompts and building agents. And then as sort of at the tail end of that, we will be, dropping subscribers into journeys and everything along that line. So it's going to be use cases are going to be related around sales, service, marketing, all of those.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, great question. Thank you. Okay, so let's continue to work through our use case on the Marketing Cloud side, where we're still working with our community group. We've made some incredible progress. So, the challenges that we've had is that the community portal does not allow for email addresses, which makes sense. And we want to create this universal data extension in Marketing Cloud that has all of our community members. What we did last week was to capture their activity as far as signing up for these events. And then I think this week what we want to do is to be able to append or enhance adding in the email address for those who've opted in so that we can start sending out journeys and emails to our community members. So that'll be our next step today. So this is where we had left off. We were going through and we did a join to those community attendee records, those people who attended events, so that we could expand out and add in the sign-up date and the check-in date into our universal data extension. That was successful. We did have a little bit of a hiccup last session as far as populating the data. I did a little bit of research and found it was a quick solution on that end, so we can review that. And then our next step is that we want to, again, we have another data extension that has opt-in email addresses. And so we want to append one more time to this universal data extension an email address for our community members so that we can email them. So that'll be what we'll be working on today. I think we talked about the data model last time. But we've got a new builder today, Janice. So Janice will give you a moment to talk about your experience with Salesforce and Marketing Cloud and what brought you to this group.
All right, good morning again, everyone. I'm really happy to be here today. So I am actually very new to Marketing Cloud. I took the Salesforce Marketing Cloud email specialist certification exam back in August to gain familiarity with the platform and just with various email marketing and marketing automation and digital marketing practices and the tools that are needed to be successful with building successful emails and automations and all that good stuff within Marketing Cloud. So I'm just looking to transition within my career. I have worked within IT and front-end web development roles for the majority of my professional career. And in my current role, that's where I've gotten the interest in transitioning into email. I'm currently a web form production associate. I primarily use HTML and CSS and JavaScript to build out various web forms and web pages for clients that work with my company. And in that time, I've also had the chance to add email confirmations to forms. And I was thinking of what direction I wanted to go in within my career. And actually just was doing a little bit of Googling and found out about email marketing. It seemed like it would be really fun. Seemed like it was a really good fit as well because it was also a lot of continue to be able to be technically challenged and to grow. So just looking for ways to try to gain some understanding and knowledge. And so I went ahead and went for that certification back in August. And I actually was looking for ways to also gain some hands-on experience within Marketing Cloud as well. And I actually stumbled across the group on the Trailblazer website. I saw you all had the Marketing Cloud Mondays hands-on build-on sessions, and I just thought it'd be a great idea and really wanted to just jump in and be able to get a chance to learn more and really appreciate the opportunity today to be here.
Wonderful, Denise. Fantastic. Well, great. So I think you have access to Marketing Cloud. So if you wanted to share your screen, let me see if I may give you the ability to do that. 1 second.
Okay.
Let me change your. I'm going to make you a co-host. Let's see. Did that give you an ability to share your screen? Awesome.
Yes.
Fantastic. Wonderful. All right, great. So you're in Marketing Cloud, which is great. And so what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be going into the query that we worked on in our last session, and we're going to be looking to enhance it to add in, see if we can populate with email addresses. So what we're going to want to do, Janice, is we're going to want to go to the Journey Builder icon, which is at the top. Yep. We're going to go to Automation Studio. Yeah. We're going to go navigate to the automation that we were working on last time. So over there on the left under Hands-On. Yeah, and then under Boston Community Group, and if you click on that automation, so the name, yep, perfect. And then if you click on the workflow tab at the top, yep. And then let's click on the second query, the 2.1 query. There's a little button to the right, and that'll allow you to edit and view that. Yep, let's edit and view that. And let's copy that entire query. We're going to bring this over to a Query Studio and make some improvements on it. Yeah. And then if you want to duplicate this tab, this browser tab, they'll create another Marketing Cloud tab. And then, okay, then in your blue cloud in the upper left-hand corner, if you click on that, yep. And then over under App Exchange, it's one of the last icons at the top. Yep, there should be Query Studio. We click on Query Studio. And then if you paste in your query, and then let's hit the Run button on this. and that'll start working on getting our data populated there so we can get our current state. And then let's duplicate this tab one more time. We'll get another Marketing Cloud tab if you want to duplicate your browser tab. And we're going to go into the blue cloud in the upper left-hand corner. We're going to go to the data extensions. So if we go to Email Studio, your first icon, yep. And if we click on the email part, and then in the subscribers tab at the top, you see where it says overview, and then, yep, so we're gonna click data extensions. Yep. And then in that data extensions folder on the left, we're gonna just click on the plus sign on the left, yep. And then we're gonna navigate down to hands-on. We're gonna click the plus sign to that hands-on. And then the Boston Marketer Group. Yep, and then if you click on the Boston Marketer Group, just the general folder. Yep, and then if you click on community signups, the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna move this folder, this data extension. So you see over there where it says Boston Marketer Group and it says change, right? There's a little blue, yep, let's click on that. And then if we go to data extensions, and then we're going to go to hands-on, and then we're going to go to Boston Marketer Group, and then we're going to save that in the subscriber file. I had created this data extension a little while ago, so I don't think we had that file perfect. Hit OK there. Fantastic. All right, so let's take a look at these records. If you click on that records tab, just to the right of that properties, yep. So this data extension includes data from those subscribers, mostly us, who about 6 sessions ago, we created a cloud page that allowed people to opt in to provide their email address. So we finally get community members with their email address. So this is the data that we're going to want to pull into our query. So what we're going to do is add an additional join to our query so that we can, if we can find the community members and then match them to their first name and last name to this in this data extension, then we'll be able to add in their email address. So just wanted to reference this data extension. So if we go back to your tab, your Query Studio tab, the one just to the left of that, yep. Let's hit run one more time. Sometimes it takes a second for those records to populate. Okay, fantastic. So like what we did in our last session, we wanted to, we had added another data extension on line 14 using a left join here. So we're going to want to do something very similar in this example, where we want to join the data extension that we just looked at, which are those community members with their email address. So Janice, if you go into the query that you've got right there, and let's just scroll down a little bit. Yep. And then let's, at line 16, let's hit return a couple of times. That'll add a little bit of space there. And if you hit the return button a couple of times, we'll just add a couple of lines in the,
Sorry.
No problem. Perfect. So what we want to do is we want to join this, this other data extension to our from statement so that we can pull in those email addresses if we find it. So to do that, on line 17, let's type in the word join all in caps. And then let's go to that data extension, which is your other tab. Yep, and let's copy the name of the data extension. Perfect. And then you can add that after that join. Okay, fantastic. And then we need to do a space, and let's do an as all caps. Yep. And then we could name this CS, just so it gives it a specific name since it's community signups. Perfect. Okay, so we've got part one, which is now we've got the data extension here that we're going to be joining to our data set. Now we need to know what kind of join are we working on here. So I want to throw that out to the chat. Anybody have any ideas on what type of join we should be using for this example? Any recommendations? And I'm going to throw into the chat this Query Studio query cheat sheet that Janice, we can navigate to. This is something that we looked at in the last session. A good question. What should it be, right? So if you click on that link that's in the chat, Janice, that'll open up another tab.
No, Tim, response is for like right join.
Okay, that's a good suggestion. Now, Janice, if you scroll down a little bit, let's take a look at, okay, fantastic. So this query cheat sheet gives this little join visual of different types of examples. Okay, so I'm going to outline the use case that we've got here. So we've got A and B here. We've got our A data extension and our B data extension. So our A data extension is all of our community members, which we want to keep populated in this universal data extension. The B file is the community members that have their email addresses only. So what we want to do is we want to keep all of A, and then we want to also bring in B, but only the ones in B that match the criteria that will match their email address. So yes, it'll most likely be that left join. So if you see that in the upper left-hand corner, Denise, you see that the A and the B, it's got the full circle for A. All of A is there. And then it's got B as well, but only the parts of B that match the criteria for A. So yes, you were on the right track, Adarsh, in that it needed to not just be just a regular inner join, but left would probably make more sense in this example. So, so Janice, let's go back to your query. We're just going to add a left before that join on line 17. And that mirrors what we had done last time, so it is consistent. Okay, very nice. Okay, fantastic. So now we've got that part, that's part one. Then the second part is we need to find a way to match our data extension, which is gonna be the community members, with this new data extension that we brought in, which are those community email addresses. So we could probably do something very similar like we did last time, in that we know what our subscriber is, we're designating, which is a specific GUID. And Janice, that we, in a couple of prior sessions, we had to figure out a way to identify a specific subscriber of our community members. So we decided as a group, we're going to use the combination of first name, last name, and the domain of their, of their email address. So that's what you can see on line 15 when we added that community attendees, that left join. We matched it on the first name, last name, and email or domain for each of those data extensions. Now, the good thing about the community signups data extension, so if we go back to that data extension, you can see from the fields that we've got first name, we've got last name, and we've got an email address. So we should be able to do the very same logic. We just might need to change some of the fields on there. So let's go back to that query. And what we're going to want to do is let's copy that on statement. So line 15 and 16, let's copy both of those lines. Yep. And then let's paste it on line 18. Perfect. Okay. So we're basically on line 17, that data extension, we're joining it up to line 13, the CM. So that first line on line 18 does not need to change. It's the same relationship we're making with the date extension on line 13. What does need to change is line 19, which is what we're determining from. So what we want to do is change all those CAs to CSs, because that's going to be our new date extension. Yeah. Yeah. Very good. And then what we also need to change on that line is in the date extension, we need to find that how the first name, last name, and email address is labeled in that date extension. So if you go to that email date extension, yeah, let's start with the first one. So first name. So first name does not have an underscore. So let's go back to that query. We'll remove the underscore, and then that should work. And it shouldn't be case sensitive, so that should be fine there. And let's go back to the data. Let's just take a look at what last name would be. And there's no underscore there, so let's change that last name. And then last but not least, let's check to see what email is. And that is email address. So we'll just change that from email to email address. Yep, in both places, or all three places. Perfect. All right, so let's try running that to see if it caused any problems. Okay, so far so good. Yeah, okay, great. Now what we want to also output is an email address. So in our select statement, we're going to want to add another field. So if we go to line 11, and we're going to hit return at the end of that line just to add a new line. And let's copy line 11. We're going to paste that into line 12 just because it has some syntax that we can use. Okay, fantastic. So what we want to output is the email address field on the new date extension that we created, or that we just joined. So we're going to want to change that CA to CS. Yep. And then we want to change that check-in date to email address. Yep. And then you can have the as be exactly the same thing, email address. Perfect. All right, let's try running that. So it looks like it took, which is good. And then we can try to scroll through some of those records. There's a lot of them. So just so that we can, just to validate that it actually populated, let's copy the cs.email address field on line 12, just the cs.email address. We're going to add, yeah, wherever you can find it. Yeah, perfect. And then we're going to scroll down to that where clause. And if you scroll down just to, yep, let's hit return right where you are. Let's type in and all in caps. And then we'll paste in that record you just, yep. And then let's do an is not null. Okay, let's hit run on this. So this should only output records that have an email address. Okay. So there we go. It worked, right? So we're able to join those records in, and we were able to populate an email address, which is fantastic. So all three data extensions are working. And again, we know that there's only a handful of email addresses that we have that have opted in. So that does make sense. There's only 5 out of the 352. There's a very, very, very small amount. And hopefully this will grow over time. But it looks like we've got that logic in place. So Adarsh, can we use the email field as a subscriber key? You can, you absolutely can. And that can be the case for a lot of scenarios. We kind of like to have, our goal is to be a little bit more, to try to not use the email address if we can use a different subscriber key, just because you can have a subscriber that has multiple email addresses. It usually can be better practice if you can try to keep your subscriber key, not the email address itself. But it's very common, but that's a great suggestion. Okay, so there's also some, sorry,
I have
go ahead,
one
Adarsh.
question. Like the subscriber key which we have created, is there are chances that both records can be same. Like for example, others at the rate otherspermar@gmail.com, and there are chances that there are two records for that.
Right, true.
So
Yeah,
that's why I'm
yeah.
saying
So I mean,
that can we use the email address as a subscriber key?
well, I mean, the one challenge that we have, at least in our use case, is that we don't have email addresses for all of our subscribers, right? So that's sort of the reason why for the subscriber key, it kind of makes sense to have the GUID that we had created. And then it can be problematic if your subscriber key is an email address. So, you might have a subscriber that has multiple email addresses. You might have a subscriber that has the same, an email address is shared by a couple of different subscribers. So it's preference, but if it makes sense, you'll sort of see a little bit further down the road if we can try to shoot for having the subscriber key be not the email address, at least for this use case, then we can certainly spin up a use case where the subscriber key is an email address. It's a good call out. Okay, Dharmesh had a question. Can we have that query before? Oh yes, we will definitely do that. Great. Okay, so now Janice, if you go to the data extension we've got some additional data here that is kind of handy. So we've got company, we've got profession, we've got products. So what we're going to want to also do in this data extension is we want to add to the select those three fields. So Janice, I'm going to let you do that as well. So if you go up to the select statement. Yep, and just like you did for email address, you're going to want to copy that line and then add it. So if you go back up to line 12 and hit return a couple of times, I think there's going to be 2 or 3 more fields. Yep. And then if you copy line 12, yep. Perfect. Yep. Exactly.
Reference this just to make sure I've got everything. Okay, products, company,
Nice.
profession. Okay.
Awesome. Let's hit run on that. Nicely done. And let's see. Let's scroll up a little bit on that select statement. We might have already had company. You scroll up a little further. Yep, you can delete company. We'll delete the second one. Yep. Perfect. All right, let's see. It is not best practice to use. I'm just reading Santiago's point. It is not best to use email address as subscriber key. Sometimes it's the only option. Yep. Yep. It's a good call up. Thank you, Santiago. Yeah, you see it used a lot. If you have if you're using an integration that's using Salesforce CRM, you'll usually use a contact ID or a lead ID as a subscriber key. if you have a standalone environment where you don't have a GUID or you don't have a contact or lead ID, certainly email address does work. But yeah, if you can lean toward a different subscriber key, that can be helpful. Thank you, Santiago. Okay, so this is looking good. Looks like it's running. This should complete our data set. And just for those who weren't able to attend last session or a couple of sessions, the reason why we're adding the mins on each of those fields is at the very bottom of this query, there's a group by that we had created a couple of sessions ago to remove duplicates. So that's why there's a min associated with those. Okay, fantastic. Yep. And then, so it does have, we do have some data on our subscribers, some provided products, some provided professions, some didn't provide that. So that's good to see that some of that data is there and some of it's not. Fantastic. So we've now got our data. So now, Janice, what we're going to do is we're going to update our automation now that we know this query is working. And Janice, what we typically do when we're building in Query Studio is if you can go back to that query real quick, and if you can copy that query, and first of all, if you can just paste it in the chat because others might want it. And then we typically, whenever we're using Query Studio, just sort of paste it in like a notepad because you are sort of working virtual here with Query Studio. It's not really saved. So if for some reason you lose your browser or lose your power, it loses it. So sometimes it might be helpful just for you to just keep that stored off the side while we're working through that.
And I'm so sorry, this the chat has 1,000 character limit, so I'm gonna just split this up if that's okay and send this in 2 parts.
Sure. Sure. Yeah, queries keeps getting bigger and bigger. It's a hard-working query.
Too much. Okay. I'll go to line 19 and see if that'll fit. So it's part 1. Then part 2. Let me just get
Thank you.
pen. Yeah.
Okay, so then let's go to your data extension tab. We're gonna switch to a different data extension. So if you click the little blue under the subscriber underscore file, you see that right? Yeah, that'll take you back one folder back. And let's click on our universal subscribers data extension. Okay, so we've got that email underscore address populated there as a field. So we might need to modify our query. So let's do that. You see online, let's click on the records tab. Let's just verify that. I think that is the intention for that field to be our email address. Yeah, it's empty. So we just need to change in our query, instead of email address, all one word, we need to change that query to underscore address. And that is up in your select statement. That will still say the same, Janice, but yep, just there, perfect, yep. And that will still say the same too. It is, yep, just there. And then the email address in the min, you want to keep that without the underscore. And I apologize, we didn't really set these, we've been better if all these data matches, but that's exactly right. We are outputting it as email underscore address, and that's what we're going to be writing to the data extension. So that's excellent. Fantastic. All right, let's go back to that data extension. And I don't believe we've got products or profession in here, but let's just go to that properties, or you can scroll to the right. Let's just see. We've got sign up date. We've got check-in date. Okay. So we're going to add 2 more fields to this data extension, but before we do that, let's clear out this data and that blue button in the upper right-hand corner. Yep. Clear that out. And it's typically best practice whenever you're adding to a data extension to clear out your data. So let's go back to properties. And then if you hit the edit fields, okay, let's add the plus sign at the bottom. And it looks like we've got title, which could be the same thing as profession. So I think the only new field that we need to add is products. And then let's do that as a text field is good. Let's do that as 4,000. That's the max field length. That should be enough. We'll hit nullable on that as well. And a tip, I think it's still available. If you need a field that's even longer than 4,000, if you just don't designate us a length, it'll go to unlimited. But I know Salesforce probably doesn't like us to do that. Anyways, but 4,000 should be enough. I don't think people will be typing more than 4,000 characters. Let's hit save fields on that.
Got a good question in the chat. They asked,
oh, yes.
There's a SFMC underscore products. Is that different?
There's an SFMC underscore products. There is. Oh my gosh, great catch. Totally missed that. Let's hit cancel. It was already in there. My bad.
Right.
So yeah, we've got title, we've got products. So let's hit cancel on that. Okay, fantastic. So we just need to change the as for products to SFMC underscore products. So if you want to copy that syntax down there, yep. And then let's go back to your query. And we can just change that as, yep. And then we can change profession to title. Perfect. A great catch. And then, so see, Santiago said there's SFMC Query Saver is a Chrome extension that gives you the queries run as SFMC. Okay, that's really good to know. Definitely check that out. And thank you, Debbie, for that. All right, good. So now we've got this query looking good. I think it's matched to our data extension. Now we can create another query in our automation, see if this runs all together. So let's go to your first tab, which is the Automation Studio tab. And let's hit cancel on this, yep, cancel. And then Janice, you're gonna, over on the left, you're gonna wanna drag over another SQL query over to that step 3. Yep, 1, 2, perfect. Let's hit choose. We're going to create a new query activity in the upper right-hand corner. There's a little, yep, perfect. Let's call this, we can call it final community member query. Hopefully it's the final one. Let's see if we can choose a folder on this. We might have a folder saved. So if you scroll down a hair, yep, under hands-on, and then Boston Marketer Group. Perfect. I'll hit done on that. We can fill out the description later. Let's hit next. All right, and we're going to go and copy your query from Query Studio. Yeah, and then let's take out in the where clause a little further down, let's take out the as cs.email address is not null. Okay, we want the all 352 records to be populated. Let's hit the validate syntax in the upper right-hand corner. Okay, let's see, email, an error occurred in the syntax. The column title was specified multiple times for query. Okay, let's scroll up.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so we've got title in there twice. Okay, so let's remove title at the bottom. I think if we have it provided in the first round, we can just modify it. Yep, let's try validating that syntax one more time. There's probably still going to be a bunch of those yellow errors, which is fine. That's all good. And then if you scroll down, you should be able to hit next. And then we're going to navigate to that data extension on the left. So if we go to hands-on, yep. And then we're going to go to auto boot boss. Yep. Subscriber. Yep. Subscriber file. And then we're going to scroll down and we should be able to find that. Yep. The universal subscribers. And let's just use the overwrite function for right now. And let's hit next. And finish. And then let's hit save in the upper right-hand corner. Okay, fantastic. And then let's do a run once. We're going to run this query. And we're going to select just the last query. Yep. And then let's hit run. And we'll hit run now. Okay. If you click on that activity tab just to the right, you should be able to see the query working. Let's see, that was at 9:09 p.m. on 1/12. I think that was yesterday, testing that. And over there on the right, there's a refresh button right under save. So if you click on that, it might just take a second there. So while we're waiting for this, let's go to your data extension tab. There, yep. And let's click back into that subscriber file. Yep. And it's still doing its thing, sort of waiting for that to be populated. Let's go back to the automation. Let's try hitting that refresh button again. See if that does anything. Okay, so it's doing its thing. Okay, so while we're waiting for this data extension to populate, I want to see if there's any questions. So where we are now, looks like we've populated all three of our different data sets. We were able to bring in our community members from signups. We're able to add on whether they've attended an event, signed up for an event and attended the event. And then also if they've provided us their emails that we can communicate for them. So the next thing that we're going to want to do, we'll probably do this in our next session when we come back from all the Agentforce work, is we can start building our journey that's going to be communicated. We're going to be communicating to our members. And then we'll probably build out an automation that's going to create those subscribers who will be sending into the journey those script subscribers that would actually have an email address. So let's hit refresh one more time. Let's see if, okay, great. Let's go to that data extension. And if we just click out to that Boston Marketer Group folder, yep. And then if you click into that subscriber file.
I'm sorry.
No problem. So if you click there and then, yep, perfect. And yep, let's click on that universal subscribers. Now this will only give us a view of 200 of the records, but hopefully we'll find one in here just to validate that we've got records populating. Okay, so if you scroll over to the right, we can see that the sign up data is definitely populating. Okay, and then if we scroll back over to the left, we see that that's working. Let's just see if we've got an email address. All right, let's scroll down and see if we got any records that have an email address. Yep, there's one. Okay, so we're seeing that data come through. Excellent. So we're able to populate that email address. We've got that unique subscriber key and all of that. Fantastic. Great. So I know we've got a couple of minutes, and I think what we can do quickly is create a query that is going to, what we're going to use to fuel our journey. So what we want to do, we'll do it very simple in that we want to create a query that pulls from this data extension, and we want to pull out a subscriber key, an email address, say a first name and a last name, and maybe the products into a date extension that we're going to feed into the journey so that we'll be able to email that person. We'll be able to personalize it with their first name. And then we'll also be able to say in the email, thank you for signing up. We know that you're interested in XYZ products, et cetera. So we're going to try to pull in some of those data points. So Janice, let's go to your Query Studio. And what we're going to do is let's delete lines 2 through 14. Okay, and then in that from statement, let's delete lines 4. Let's delete lines 5 through 7. So let's delete lines 3, 4, and 5. Okay, great. Let's change that to, we're going to remove the join on that because we're only going to need one date extension. We won't actually need a join on that. So that's the date extension we're going to pull from. You can get rid of the on statement, so we can delete lines 4 and 5. Okay. And then on line 1, you can get rid of that distinct. We don't really need that. Probably didn't even need it in the query before. Okay, great. So now let's also, right above line 3, let's add a from, all caps. Okay, fantastic. And then you can bring line 3 up to that from. So if you want to bring, yep, there you go. Okay, so that's what we're getting it from. We're getting our subscribers from this community. Oh, so I'm sorry, it's not the community signups. It's the universal date extension. So let's go back to our date extension tab. Let's copy that date extension name. Yep, and then we're going to change that in. Yep. Perfect, and you can get rid of the as well. Perfect. So that's where we're getting our data from. And then in our select statement, let's hit return a couple of times just to add a couple of spaces there for some fields. Okay. So from our date extension, we want to bring over the subscriber key. So if you go back to that date extension, let's go grab that field. And if you click on the properties tab, it's a little bit easier to copy that syntax. Yep. So we'll copy the subscriber key. And then let's hit return. And then we're going to add a comma.
Oh, sorry, a comma, okay.
No problem. Let's go find the email address field. Yep, and copy that. And that's going to be what we're going to do on line 3. It's hit return and add a comma. We're going to want to copy first name. And then hit return one more time and a comma. And let's add products, SFNC products. Perfect. All right. And then in our where statement, we can delete lines 12 through 14. We don't, yeah. And then we want to have it say where email address is not null. Yep. Perfect. Let's try running that. See if we get any errors. Okay. So this is a pretty basic data extension that we could use to feed our journey, right? We just want to, we know we can't send an email unless they have an email address, right? So we might use this test group just to send an email address or two. We might isolate a specific tester, community member, maybe someone who's on this call. But hopefully we should get, yeah, this is our data set. So we've got, 5 different records that we could send emails to test. What we'll do in our next session after the Agentforce session, we'll create a data extension that uses this query to populate that data. We're going to connect it to an automation that connects it to a journey, pull it into a journey, and then we'll create our first email that pulls in these variables, that personalizes the first name, the products, if they provide it. If they don't, we can use a default or something along those lines. And then we'll send our first journey, our first welcome journey for community members. We'll just ask somebody if they're okay to use their email address, or we can also create someone to create someone as a record as well. Dharmesh. Yes, we are going to start adding these community sessions to, let me give you the YouTube channel. I shared it in the chat a little earlier, but this is if others have familiar with Yosina's boot camps, we are partnering with her, and we will be posting our YouTube, our recordings on YouTube in the coming months. Okay, Janice, amazing work. A lot you did here today. Did 2 different, one incredibly complicated query, created a query, updated an automation, updated some data extensions, populated the data set, created another query to populate our journeys for upcoming session. Any questions on your end as far as what you covered today?
No, this was really great. I really appreciate, being able to join you all and everyone being patient for me. I appreciate the nice comments as well. And I'm just looking forward to joining more sessions and learning more about Marketing Cloud as it relates to just automations and Agentforce. Sounds like some really exciting stuff coming up.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for volunteering. And thanks everybody who joined these first 7 sessions. I know it's been, the last 5 sessions have been very query focused, which is super fun. Now we're going to start transitioning into the content side. So we have built an email design system where we're going to be building templated emails with drag and drop functionality, creating a variety of different emails. We're going to be building journeys with a lot of different functionality and different journeys. We're going to be using automations to connect to those. So we're going to be moving into that part of it to create those welcome journeys for our subscribers. So thanks to everybody for bearing with us through that pretty heavy query side, and just to stress the importance of it. We were able to take a data set that was a little bit limited. We did not have an email address, no way to communicate with our community members. And now we have a way to do that, which should be a fun way to communicate with our community members. It may not be something we end up using at the end, but it was just a path to get this into Marketing Cloud and all of that. So hopefully that was helpful. And just see if we have any more questions. Okay, no, fantastic. Well, wonderful, Janice. Thank you again. And thanks everybody. We'll see you next time in our hands-on session on Agentforce.
Thank you. Take care, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.